Welcome to Into the Night. I'm Nari, your guide on today's excursion down a twisted path. Be careful not to get lost. Be it dark or light, it's easy to lose your way. Are you ready? Then let's begin. A Tinge of Regret. A light rain fell as the sun tried to peek through a break in the clouds. How long had it been since he gave himself the freedom to enjoy the natural world? Vinny D'Onofrio wasn't sure, but he knew it had been too long.
When I was a boy, all I wanted to do was spend time in the woods, fishing in the creek, hiking up the hills to find better views. Those were fun times. Where did those days go?
A slight breeze splattered raindrops against his face. Trickles of water rolled down his cheeks, washing away the lost years. Closing his eyes, he took to the moment as his shoulders relaxed and his breathing steadied. Times like this didn't happen often for Vinny, not anymore. For weeks, he'd seldom left his apartment, but now, for this brief span of time, his mind went back to the carefree years of his youth. Lazy summer days, playing with his two brothers and their little sister, seemed real again. He heard their laughter, and it made him smile.
Oh, how I've missed that sound.
He knew that, most likely, he'd never hear their laughter again. Even if they wanted to see him, it was too risky, both for them and Vinny. He was certain he'd bring nothing but harm to the people he loved.
I don't want to think about that now. I want to remember the good times, even if it's only for a little while.
He pushed aside the thoughts of what had happened and focused instead on what had happened that was good in his life. Vinny, for most of his life, had lived a charmed existence. Growing up, he and his siblings had parents who loved them, a safe home to live in, and the company of good friends. Vinny never worried about feeling lonely. Someone was always with him to play with, and the lovely home he lived in led him to believe nothing bad could ever happen in the world. Looking out across the landscape before him, he saw his mother's face and heard her sweet voice.
I don't know how you did it, Mama. I never saw you become angry with any of us. No matter what mischief we found ourselves in, you guided us in the most loving way.
She was a beauty. Her peaches and cream complexion against her dark brown hair and green eyes alone was stunning. But she was beautiful in every other way, too. Her children were everything to Sofia D'Onofrio, and they thrived under her care.
Dad, you were remarkable, too.
Handsome, smart, funny, and a great provider, Salvador D'Onofrio was a respected man in the community. Known as a wise man with a reasonable disposition, neighbors often sought his counsel. His calm, thoughtful demeanor brought angry people to their senses, and he spared the community countless heartaches. Vinny knew he couldn't have asked for a better parent. In fact, he lived in a wonderful neighborhood filled with good friends and extended family. Few people from a middle-class family could have had better starts in life than Vinny and his siblings. Each summer, their parents surprised them with a new vacation destination. The D'Onofrio children saw places most never did. One summer, it was the beach on the East Coast. The next summer, the mountains. Another summer, they went to the islands and scuba dived. Yes, Francis did step on a poisonous sea creature, and that put a damper on the day's fun. But good medical care got him back up and enjoying the water quickly.
Francis always seemed to be the one to get hurt. A broken arm from rock climbing, or is it rock falling in this case? Torn ligaments from skiing, and a concussion from sports. Yeah, Francis was a frequent flyer to the emergency room when we were kids. Look at him today, though. Steady and dependable. He got stupidity out of his system young.
Vinny winced. He knew the same wasn't true for himself. Shy and awkward as a boy, Vinny hung back in the shadows and watched the exploits of his siblings from a safe distance. Not until recently had he stepped out of the shadows and felt carefree and careless. At first, he was confident and invincible. In fact, he'd even nicknamed himself Invincible Vinny. He sowed wild oats that sought fertile soil, and they grew. With each new escapade, his daring increased. Heavy drinking, mingled with the urge to cut free of the constraints society placed on its people, created a disaster in the making. His family watched in horror as Vinny flailed further and further out of control. His brother Leo begged him to stop his destructive ways.
Vin, you're going to end up doing something stupid. You need to slow down. Be responsible. I'm just having some fun. You can't blame me for that, can you? I don't mind you having fun, but you're going to hurt yourself or someone else. Mama would be devastated if something happened to you. This isn't just about you, Vinny. Mama and Papa raised you better. Thanks for your brotherly concern, Leo, but I know what I'm doing. I can handle myself. Go worry about your exciting accounting business.
Pain swept across Leo's face.
Fine, Vinny. I just hope you're right. If you're not, you're going to hurt a lot of people.
Vinny just smiled.
Stop trying to be so overprotective. I'm fine. You'll see.
Leo shrugged and walked away. Vinny hadn't seen him since. Vinny now stared out over the landscape as the wind picked up and dark clouds threatened on the horizon. Normally, he'd take shelter. Today, he couldn't bring himself to stay inside one more minute. He thought back over the conversation he'd had with Leo. Contrary to his brother's dire warnings, life couldn't have been better for Vinny, or at least it seemed so. For once, people noticed him. No longer was he someone else's brother. He was somebody, a name in certain circles. For the first time, he was included at parties and invited to events. Girls paid attention to him. One girl in particular, Lita Malone, made an impression on him too. Slender but not too slender, and tall but not too tall. She gave Vinny all the right feelings. As carefree and adventurous as he was, he knew she was the one for him. She played hard to get, but she also let him catch her at the right times and often enough that she kept the pursuit exciting yet attainable. Their chemistry was addictive, and even when they tried to go their separate ways, their willpower only lasted so long. The highs and lows were intense, but it was a carnival ride neither Vinny nor Lita wanted to escape. He'd lost touch with his family during that time. Staid and steady, his brothers and sisters were married and raising families of their own. His parents kept busy with their grandchildren and travel. At the time, Vinny resented the tight-knit relationship his siblings had with each other and their parents. But looking back, he knew the fault fell squarely on his shoulders. Vinny cast off the family, not the other way around. He realized now that his behavior and rebelliousness created the rift.
If only I could change it, I would. I don't know if they'll ever understand that, but it's true. I let them down, and I hate myself for it. I was completely out of control.
The tempest of a relationship he shared with Lita wasn't the only downward spiral his life took. The drinking and the partying, the lawlessness and disregard for others, it all dragged him down. His family had every right to distance themselves from his toxic ways.
Every good example you set for me, Mama and Papa, I disobeyed. I am an embarrassment.
Vinny winced. So many days and nights blurred into another.
I not only embarrassed my family, I embarrassed myself.
The wind whipped as the storm intensified. Vinny felt the rain run down his body and he shivered. The air was warm, but the brutality of what he could no longer hide from caused chills to spread across his body.
I can't change anything now. She's dead.
Lita was dead, and Vinny knew the blame fell on him. The images of that night burned into his mind. They'd had a good time. He and Lita were on one of their upswings that made the volatile relationship worthwhile.
She looked so beautiful that night. I could hear her laughter and see her green eyes dancing as we held each other and watched the stars.
An especially active meteor shower was in full swing on the couple's last night together. Vinny sighed. The reflection of the moon in the shimmering lake that evening created a magical sight. The memory reminded him of her, deep, shimmering, and mystical. Tears mingled with increasing wind. Vinny covered his ears with his hands. Try as he may, however, he could still hear the sound. Metal on metal, the screams, Lida's screams. Then the dreadful silence, the sight of the car rolling into the lake and disappearing. Thrown free of the wreckage, he stood on wobbly legs. Drunk and disoriented, Vinny panicked and ran, finally making his way to his apartment where he'd hid for weeks. He knew they'd find him. He couldn't hide forever. Someone eventually would see him and recognize his guilt. He stared down at his hands. The reddish hue was unmistakable. It was the telltale sign that he'd spilled the blood of another. The sound of police helicopters and the glare of spotlights cut through the murky storm. Vinny shielded his eyes, and he heard footsteps approaching. Lying to police would do no good. His guilt was obvious. Like other members of his community who at one time or another broke laws, Vinny was easy to spot. His skin now displayed the red proof of guilt. He carried a tinge of regret. The footsteps drew nearer, and Vinny D'Onofrio, no longer invincible Vinny and devoid of his cocky attitude, surrendered without a fight. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Into the Night Anthology podcast. Written by Caroline Giammanco, narrated by Nari. Theme music by Nico Rodriguez. You can find our links in the show notes. Into the Night is on your favorite podcatcher, so make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review to help other excursionists to join us. I'll see you next time. And remember, whether in the shadows or in the daylight, all twisted paths lead you into the night. Hi, excursionists. I'm so glad you stayed. If you ever wonder what I'm working on when I'm not here, you can find my current and past projects at narinarrates.com. That's also where you can sign up to be a story in my library, where every story somehow finds its way back home.